McConaughey, e non lo ospitiamo in quanto attore, come lo conosciamo tutti, ma in quanto scrittore, in quanto autore, visto che da Baldini+Castoldi è appena uscito Greenlights, sottotitolo L'arte di correre in discesa. E di corsa e in discesa questo libro viene letto, lo leggiamo, così come forse l'ha scritto Matthew McConaughey, un succedersi indiavolato di aneddoti, di storie, di vicende autobiografiche, di ricette di vita che verranno esplorati dal nostro autore insieme a Francesco Gatti di RAINews24, ma la parola è tutta loro, io passo dalla parte del pubblico. Buona serata.
Matthew, partirei dall'oggetto, dal libro che è pieno di foto e pieno di appunti che tu hai preso nel corso del tempo, che ha un suo colore, che ha un suo peso, che ha un suo odore. Come sei arrivato a dargli questa forma?
Yeah. So, I went away to write the book. It was based on 36 years of diaries and journals I've been keeping. I love to draw, doodle, have arrows that connect things, and I noticed in all my journals, on many pages, what I would write, I would have symbols and things. So I liked the interactivity of how I wrote in my journals. I wanted this book to be interactive for the reader too. So after I went away with what I thought would be the main stories that are in the book, the stories, I looked at it like a movie. All right, the stories chronologically is the narrative, the A story. They're longer, and when I finish one, then I put in the poems, the prayers, the prescribes, the bumper stickers, and those I looked at those are like flashbacks and flash forwards, like you see in a movie. So those poems, prayers, prescribes, and bumper stickers, things that I put in between the narrative stories, were there to give the reader a little context, calling back to the story you just came from, you just read, to say, hey, here's how I was looking at it, or here's another way to look at that. And hopefully they were also there to project and propel you into the next story with a bit of context or perspective. So, you know, flash forwards, flashbacks, they work in movies sometimes. They don't work in movies sometimes. I find that they work best when they pull off and they do what I was just explaining, when you are incentivized by the story you just read to go into the flashback, and you are also, they propel you into the next story, so they're active, hopefully. And you know, it's black, two print colors, black and green. You know, it was going to cost a lot more to have red and yellow, because we thought about maybe I have red, yellow, and green, because that's the color of the other two lights. And we're like, no. And it turned out to be, it was going to be too expensive, and it turned out to be a blessing that we weren't able to use yellow and red, because ultimately my message is that all the yellow and reds turn green anyway, so let's just have one color, green. And then it was a mix of the font. I love font. It was the font for what stories, the font for what prescribes, the font in different places, make that consistent throughout the book. And hopefully the book has a bit of depth of field, which I'm very proud of. And I think the readers, when you grab the book, it's an engaging read in that way.
Facciamo un gioco insieme. Tu sei uno sceneggiatore, io sono un produttore di Hollywood e tu mi vuoi vendere la tua storia, il tuo libro Greenlights, per farne un film. Cosa mi diresti?
It's going to be a long movie. But you know what? It's going to definitely be a musical, because this life we're in, the only one we have, and we are the subjects. Each one of us are the main subject in our own story. We're the protagonists in our own story. We each have our own story to write, and this is the story I've written so far in 51 years, the story I've lived so far. Action has been called one time, the day I was born. Cut will be called one time, the day I die and leave this life. So this story, this musical, because it's this book, I believe this approach to life is about how you dance with life, how you dance with success, how you dance when you love the song, how you dance when you don't like the song, how you dance when you fall down, how you dance when you get up. how you dance on the beat, how you dance off the beat, how you find the beat again when you are off the beat, or find your frequency again when you are off frequency. It's a love story and a musical. It's a comedy. It's an action adventure. It's all of these things that our lives can be. But all of them are one song, one book, many different chapters, but they're all connected. And mine so far, if we start recording 51 years ago, I don't know how much I'm done with the movie. Hopefully I'm just before intermission. But we will see.
Greenlights è un'autobiografia, ma è anche un manuale di vita, in qualche modo è un romanzo, ci sono a tratti è anche hai vissuto delle avventure nel corso della tua vita, dunque la domanda è: in quale sezione di una libreria collocheresti il tuo libro?
Great question. I would put it in, at least in nonfiction philosophy. Maybe one day, it could also live in the religion section.
Nel tuo lavoro di attore ci hai dimostrato che sai usare bene il tuo corpo, hai perso peso, hai guadagnato peso, cambiavi nel corso del tempo, nel corso dei film. Stavolta ti esponi in modo diverso dal solito attraverso la scrittura. Che tipo di esperienza è stata?
You know, I've always loved words. I still love words. I'm probably more of a prescriptionist, meaning I go back to the prescribed original meaning of the word. I love to see how that we as society have changed the meaning of words today. In some ways, I like to say, okay, that word, a certain word has changed and it's okay. In other ways, I like to remind myself and others, hey, no. We got to go back to the beginning of what that original word means. We have a relationship with words and meanings, and we're constantly rewriting them. And then each of us individually have a relationship with words. I had a bad relationship. I had an awkward relationship with the word vulnerability for so many years. I had an awkward relationship with the word humility for so many years. We in our lives have relationships with words that we have to either redefine for ourselves or look at them differently. For instance, humility. I always had a problem with being confident and having my head high and heart high when I felt humble. Not only until I understood the definition of humility to be admitting that one has more to know and more to learn, did I go, oh, I can do that. I'm very humble and confident at the same time. So in writing the book, look, I go do a movie. I'm telling you a story now. You have my hands, you have my voice, you have my eyes. You know when I'm getting to the punchline because I'm raising my voice. There's a lot of great visual information and audio information you're getting through my enthusiasm of telling you the story. Now with writing a book, camera's off, you don't get any of this. So I thought that these stories in the book would be best if I put them down word for word of how I recorded myself telling you the story. Like I would tell these stories out loud, I record them. And then I was like, oh, you told that story the best you could, Matthew. Let's transcribe that to the page. That will be the best version of the story. When I did that, I found out it was not the best version of the story. It was usually 30% too long. My spoken version was 30% too long for the written word. So I had to get very precise with my words, very precise with where's a comma, where's a period, where's an ellipsis, what's quoted, what's parenthetical, what's bold print, what's italicized. As I went through, and I had a lot of bold print, a lot of italicized, a lot of end quotes, a lot of parentheticals, as I went through the writing of the book, I started to trust my writing more and started to pull those things. No, don't make that word bold. It doesn't need to stick out anymore. No, don't put that in quotes. Let it speak for itself. No, don't put that in parentheticals. Let it speak for itself. So as I improved my writing process through the editing, I started to trust my writing more. And You know, sometimes it would take weeks to find the right word. The right word. Like for my father, he was a fan of corporal discipline, or corporal. Finding the word corporal for the one word to define what kind of discipline he was took weeks. I had so many other words. I was like, that's not it. That's not it. That's not it. So, you know, mostly the writing process would be like this for me. I wake up at sunrise, and if I can just get the first sentence, the feel, the smell, the music of the first sentence of the story, that may take hours. But after I got the first sentence, the rest of the story would just write itself. Just come out of me easy. But I had to get the first note in a song. Oh, that's it. Now the rest of the song can write itself. If I got the first sentence in the story, the rest of the story would just write itself.
Nel tuo libro ci racconti che sei cresciuto con dei valori, che i tuoi genitori ti hanno insegnato la disciplina. Abbiamo bisogno anche noi oggi di valori, e di quali valori in particolare?
Yes, we need values today. I mean, look, we can do better on the values of responsibility. We can give more value to what it means to sacrifice. We can give more value to pleasure. The main value I think we all need more today is we need to value ourselves more. We need to value ourselves enough to allow ourselves to value others. Because we're not going to value others. I can't really value you truly if I don't value myself. If I really give myself more value and self-respect, I'm able to give you more value and more self-respect. I'm able to do for more people something that's valuable to them. And that can become a great, healthy epidemic, a value epidemic. not a COVID epidemic, but one where we are spreading values because we're giving ourselves more value. Now, I don't mean give ourselves more value in the way that excludes more. No, when we truly give ourselves more value, it's not exclusive to everyone else. It's actually more inclusive of everyone else. And I think that's the main thing that we're missing now as a people, as a species, as a planet. And that's what we're going to have to do to evolve. Because the frontier, the new frontier we're going to as a planet is here, here, and here. That's the new frontier. We change ourselves, give ourselves more value, the person we're looking at in the mirror, we're going to create a whole lot more value in the world we're living in.
In Greenlights parli di alcuni libri che hai letto da ragazzo nel corso della tua vita. Il primo che citi è Lord Byron. Cosa ti piaceva nei suoi versi?
Well, Lord Byron found me in a library in a school in Australia when I was estranged from my family and had no friends and was really questioning. I was 18, 19 years old, a young romantic mind. And Lord Byron writes these love poems, but they always sort of end sadly. You know, what a woman says is written on sand. You know, he would say things like this that were like the impermanence of relationships, and the impermanence of love, and the permanence of loss and pain. So he had put them in a musical way that I found took me out of my logical mind, because I'm a very logical person, very practical, and I'd never really been a fan of poetry before, but it somehow it relaxed me in many ways. It because he was from another generation, allowed me to feel like some of my feelings were like, oh, I'm not just having these in a vacuum right now in my life. Other people have felt, great poets in the past have felt this way about affairs of the heart, you know. So in many ways my heart was broken at that time, and Lord Byron was a confidant of a fellow broken heart and romantic at the time.
In un'intervista recente hai svelato qual è il tuo libro preferito, che è il più grande venditore al mondo. Ne ho letto qualche pagina e sbaglio se dico che in questo libro c'è un po' della tua determinazione.
Inevitably. And in ways that I'm not even conscious of. That book found me and helped me change the trajectory of my life. That book found me and gave me confidence to do what I knew I wanted to do when I was alone in solitude in my heart, that I did not have the courage to do until that book found me and said, go, do it. So there's definitely a lot of my determination that comes from that book in ways that I don't even know. So much of that book is ingrained in me. And what's beautiful about the book is Mandino, the author, he doesn't tell us any newfound technology of how to have a more healthier, constructive life where you can be more yourself. He just reminds us these things that we learned as children, these things that we still know to be true, but maybe we've grown too old to believe in them, the purity, the courage, the innocence. And he reminds us of those. But he also puts us to task. He puts the reader to task in the book. He talks about this is going to be work. This is going to take commitment. And guess who you're committing to? The greatest salesman in the world, you! Everybody who reads it, he's talking to you. And we're all selling ourselves. No matter if we're peddling a product, if I'm selling sunglasses or books, or selling myself in a relationship with a friend, or my wife or my children. We're selling ourselves all the time. And again, what's the product we're selling? Let's sell our true selves, sell our truer selves, or maybe even our better selves. We have to sell ourselves to ourselves daily with aspirations, chasing our transcendent self. We're always in a sell mode, or I think we should be. And so that book is inevitably in my determination.
Nel libro scrivi che da bambino eri un appassionato di, noi lo chiamiamo Hulk, ma The Hulk, leggi ancora i fumetti, guardi film di supereroi, ne gireresti uno?
I do not read comic books. I see more comic books now because my children share their books with me, whether that's my daughter who loves anime, whether it's the show they watch on TV, they'll share with me. I'll hear them laughing in the other room and I'll come in and go, what is it? And they'll turn me on, oh, this character did this, the new Avatar series. And as a father, I like looking in and going, which characters are you liking? I have one character who always loves the hero. I have one son who loves the hero. I have another son who always likes the funny comedic relief side character. That's his favorite. I have another one who loves the poet or the lyricist or the court jester in the story. So I don't read many comic books, but I do get the comic books from my children now. So I'm up to date, and it's a good thing for us parents to know. When you hear your children laughing in the other room, that's something they're watching. It's a character. Go check and see what made them laugh, or what made them get up and go, that was really cool, because they don't always like just the hero. Sometimes they'll think the anti-hero is the more fun, or his voice is really scary and ominous, and it starts a great conversation with a parent and a child.
Sei stato varie volte in Italia, qualche anno fa hai presentato Dallas Buyers Club, ho riascoltato la conferenza stampa del Tempo, e anche in quei giorni, anche durante la conferenza, dicevi che avevi bisogno di ricalibrarti. È un concetto che è presente in questo libro, dunque ti chiedo, hai bisogno ogni tanto, qua e là, nel tempo, di ritrovare te stesso?
For me, life is a constant recalibration. Now, as we get older, look at me now. I'm 51. I'm married. I have 3 children. I am looking to take new risks in life and still be my most authentic self. Now, do I choose to take the freedom to do that on an island, like on my own? No, because I've already built a family. That's a non-negotiable thing for me. So my recalibrations are with them in tow and them in mind and heart, going, well, whatever I'm going to do, I'm doing it with them, but I am recalibrating here. And how much do we seek out what we want, set the goal, then go get it? And how much do we say, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to sit back and let the unknown come to me. I'm consistently recalibrating, because when we do things well, when we are on frequency in life, when we're happy, our relationships are good, maybe our career's good, maybe we look in the mirror and we like what we see, things feel good. What we have to watch is believing we have to watch believing that doesn't take maintenance. We have to watch, because when things are going great, we think, ta-da, I did it. I'll never forget this. This is my existence. Well, no, it's not, because we will either self-destruct or the world will destruct us for us, and our world will be thrown upside down again. So when things are going well, put that pen to paper or record it. Remind yourself, what are you doing? Why does your life feel so fulfilled? Because very soon you will be unfulfilled again. You will not be satisfied, and it can help to look back and go, what was I doing? Who was I? What were my habits? Who was I hanging out with, etc., when things were going well? And they can help us get back on track again. So I'm trying to evolve, and I think I'll be recalibrating until I'm out of this life and beyond.
Greenlights ha dominato le classifiche di vendita negli Stati Uniti. Hai provato un'emozione simile a quella di vincere un Oscar?
Well, you know, the Oscar came at a time, what was it, 8, 9 years ago? So I've been acting for 29 years. The Oscar came after 20 years of me committing to the craft of acting. And it was the award, the pinnacle of awards given to me by my peers, deeming my work the most excellent that year. Great validation for me, definitely a real peak in my career. I've never written a book before. So when the book opens up #1 and then remains on certain lists for a long time, it's another sort of validation for me that, this is the most personal thing. The book is the most personal thing I've ever shared. The most personal piece of art I've ever shared. An extension, the closest extension of me that I put out there. I wrote it, I directed it, I edited it, I lensed it in the camera. It's mine. So I put it out there. And for it to come back, #1, and then to continue to be read and to have people come back and go, hey, I'm seeing my stories in your stories, Matthew. I see myself in you, Matthew. And I like it, and it's helping me. That means my greatest self-expression is probably my greatest art. And there's no guarantee, because when we sell, all self-expression is not art, you know. So, but this one, it seems to be that the more deeply and clearly I express myself, it actually communicated with people, women, men, young, old, English speaking, Italian speaking. It crossed languages, and that tells me, you tapped into a nerve of the human existence here, Matthew. So that translation makes me extremely joyful, and has me thinking, so what is it that people got turned on by? Let's remember this, because there's more.
Hai scritto molti appunti nel corso degli anni e il tuo obiettivo mi sembra che fosse quello di non dimenticare i progressi che stavi facendo nella tua vita. Quindi ti chiedo, continui a scrivere, scrivi ancora, e se sì, che tipo di materiale?
I still write all the time. I write on buck slips or I write on my phone. When I pull up my phone at the dinner table, my friends all know that I'm not writing someone else that's not there. I'm actually writing myself, or writing something that a friend of mine would say, and then I'll go, hey, have a look at this. Is this what you said? And they'll be like, I did say that. I didn't even notice. I was like, it was beautiful. Will you sign that? And I'll write their name. For instance, here's where I wrote, last night at 9:30. The kids go to bed. My wife and I go around the house and outside to pick things up. And just as I'm saying to myself, geez, why didn't they bring the bicycle in out of the driveway? I remind myself this little line that relaxes me. I go, you know what? Kids love to get stuff out, but they don't like to put any of it up. It's a thing on kids. I wrote this the other night at 1 a.m. I wrote up, edit, don't erase. There's a difference. What else? I wrote this. Going forward's a mystery. Looking back's a science. Which it is. Going forward from this moment on, we don't know, but from this moment right back, we can connect all the dots to exactly how we got here. It's a science. So that's how my mind works. I have my phone next to me at all times where I jot things down. And those thoughts, like those three that I just gave you, what I'll do is I'll go away and I'll deconstruct that. Like if that's the title of the song, or if that's the title of the chapter, now let me deconstruct that. Let's write more about that. Let's investigate that paradigm or that aphorism. And that's I write more now than I ever have.
In Greenlights affermi che non vuoi più girare commedie romantiche, dunque la domanda è: cambierai mai idea?
I'm open to doing another romantic comedy. I have nothing against romantic comedies. Actually, more than me not wanting to do romantic comedies back then in my career when I stopped, it was not so much about I don't want to do romantic comedies anymore. I've actually realized that it was more about I'd gotten so successful in the romantic comedy that that's all people in studios could see me as, the romantic comedy lead. So when I wanted to do something else, a drama, they were like, no, keep doing the romantic comedies. We love you in those. So I had gotten so successful in the romantic comedies, their success, I became victim of their success that they didn't allow me to do other things I wanted to do. So when I stopped doing the romantic comedies, my hope, my plan, which fortunately worked out, was that if I quit doing what I've been doing, maybe I'll gain some anonymity. Maybe people will go, well, we haven't seen McConaughey in a romantic comedy in the theater. We haven't seen him in a romantic comedy on TV. We haven't seen him shirtless on the beach. Where the hell is McConaughey? What's he doing? And in that unbranding of anonymity, what's he doing? Where is he? Maybe I'll become a new good idea to do the dramas that I want to do. And it's actually exactly what happened after about 18 months. I was away and gone enough. I was a blind spot. I was forgotten in the business. And by being forgotten, only then was I able to become a new, novel, good idea for the dramas that I wanted to do.
Il tuo libro è uscito in questo periodo Covid, il tuo libro è uscito in questo periodo di quarantena, hai avuto la possibilità di presentarlo di persona di fronte a un pubblico? È un'esperienza che vorresti fare, che hai fatto?
My original plan before COVID, which I wrote this book before COVID, was that I was going to do a world tour in person. And I was going to go to stages and do a little one-man show telling stories from the book, and then also interact with the crowd and answer questions about the book, etc. As I started planning out that trip around the world, COVID came. So we scrapped all those plans. Nothing in person. I've done nothing in person. Everything has been remotely. And while in some ways that's been frustrating, I must say, in many ways, it's been awesome. Because I can now be with you in Italy, and I'm in my trailer in my backyard in Texas. An hour ago, I was talking to people in London, England. 2 hours ago, I was talking to people in New York City. 4 hours ago, I was talking to people in Los Angeles. So I've been around the world today, and I've never left my trailer in Austin, Texas. So what does that mean for me? When you and I say goodbye here, and I'm in Italy, and you're in Texas, and as soon as we say goodbye, 30 seconds after I say goodbye, I'm going to be having lunch live in person with my family. It's like a magic trick. It would have been impossible to do and be as many places that I have been virtually if I would have had to been there in person. So there's been actually some magic to this. I've been able to be in many more places back to back to back without leaving a carbon footprint, without having to go do hair and makeup, without having, I miss being places in person and seeing people in person, giving hugs, etc. But I must say, this process remotely has been very intentional and very it's been really allowed me to give value, use my time as valuably as possible to do things like I'm going to be doing when we say goodbye, having lunch with my family.
Ti ringraziamo per il tuo tempo, per le storie che ci hai raccontato, anche per questi appunti che stai scrivendo proprio in questi giorni sul tuo cellulare. Ti auguro che il tuo libro possa fare un bel viaggio importante anche in Italia.
Francesco, grazie. Paolo, grazie. Everyone, grazie. Ciao. Next time.
Che ci eravamo detti all'inizio, Greenlights, l'arte di correre in discesa e di corsa sembra essere stata fatta anche tutta questa intervista, straordinaria la vitalità e l'entusiasmo di Matthew McConaughey, strepitosa la capacità di intervista di Francesco Gatti. Insomma, grazie a Matthew McConaughey, grazie a Francesco Gatti, grazie a tutti voi che avete seguito questa serata che si è svolta sulle pagine Facebook di PDA Social Club e di Baldini+Castoldi, l'editore di Greenlights, e grazie alle tante librerie che più di 120 questa sera hanno condiviso la nostra diretta.